Because so much life happens in a living room, it is a reflection of your stage of life. If you've got young kids that are messy, or if you have pets that like to climb up on the furniture, embrace these things and make it a place where everyone feels at home. It's actually really special to be able to see a space shape and form based on the stage of life that you're in. In this chapter, we'll discuss floor plan and furniture arrangement. So as I'm putting together a floor plan, the first thing I think about is the function of the space. This becomes a really practical exercise. So when I'm considering the function of a room, I'm thinking mostly about two things. I'm thinking about conversation areas where someone might be sitting, and then flow of traffic. So that's how people are moving in and through the space. In our home, I'm thinking about the fact that we have young children and that our furnishings need to be practical and durable. We also have a couple dogs, so just having space for all of those bodies, it means I'm probably not going to pack a lot of furniture into this room. Be realistic. Don't make a room for somebody else that you are imagining would like to live here. Make it for you and how you want to live in your room. Once you've walked the space and you've really thought through the function of it, that's when you come back to your desk, back to your pad of paper, and you start drawing things out. These are the tools I use. So, graph paper so that I can draw straight lines, a pencil with an eraser because you'll never get it right the first time, and then a straight edge. This could be a ruler, this could be the edge of a book, really anything that allows you to draw a straight line on paper. And then I also like to keep some trace paper handy. You don't have to get as complicated with it. This could just be on the back of a napkin or some loose paper. So I'm gonna start by drawing a general outline of the room. And I'm not trying to make this to scale. Again, this is a loose map. And very simply, this space is a rectangle. A lot of rooms are. I use a straight edge because I like straight lines, but you don't have to. A lot of your furniture arrangement is going to be dependent on the architecture of your space. Where are doors, where are windows, things like that. There we go. Now, as you walk into the room, to the right, we have a fireplace in the middle of that wall, and then two windows, one on either side of the fireplace. You have to think about, okay, if I'm gonna put a piece of furniture on this wall, is it going to interfere or block a window? I wouldn't want that. So, okay, for better or worse, we actually have a lot of access points to this room. It's sort of a pathway to other parts of the house. There are things to consider about flow of traffic. That will definitely influence where I put furniture. We have two French doors. And when I draw a door, I just put a straight line to show where the door is, and then a little arc in the middle to show where the swing of that door would be. So here's my room. And the next thing I do is take a marker just to get a really defined outline of that room so that as I work through versions, I don't lose that overall outline. All right, let's talk through furniture. This is where I like to get out my trace paper, but of course you can just draw straight on your graph paper. The reason I like to do this is it just very simply allows me to work through a few versions before I get to a final. So in an open concept space, what I like to actually do before I draw in specific symbols for furniture is just roughly circle zones where I want things. First thing to note are these doors here. So they swing into the space, which means I won't be able to stack a lot of furniture against this wall. Otherwise, the doors wouldn't be able to open. So whatever happens here, it needs to float out a bit. I also know that I don't want our TV to be the center of our space, but it's certainly an important part of it because this is where we hang out and watch TV and watch movies. So I think the only other wall that makes sense to put a TV would be over here, which means I'll probably have some storage underneath it. So storage. I can safely say that is a good place for storage. Now, in order to watch the TV, I'll probably have some seating over here. And then I think for conversation and visiting and gathering with friends, I'll definitely have some seating here. And this adjacency now allows me to have a little conversation area. That's where two people would sit and chat or catch up. I've got a hole over here. More than likely, I'll have some sort of table in the middle of the room. So that's gonna look like a coffee table. And then I think to get extra seating, because sometimes we have larger groups over, I'll put some seating right here. Probably nothing big. I think these pieces will have to be smaller and easier to move around because I'm imagining at times when we're watching TV, there are more people over, those pieces could move to other parts of the room. So your furniture doesn't have to be placed permanently, but just for everyday living, I think we'll probably have some seating right there. All right. I want to leave the space in front of the fireplace open so that there's an easy flow of traffic here. So you come into the space this way, and in my mind, as you're walking around, you're either passing through the space into the hallway, or maybe you're coming around here to have a seat. Maybe you're continuing on through this door. So I want to make sure that I've got comfortable space as I'm plotting out the furniture between the table and whatever seating goes here. Okay, I have two holes right here. I wonder if I could fit a little more storage right there. I'm not entirely sure what to do over here. There are two windows, so I won't be able to practically put anything up against those windows. I wouldn't want to. That would block the natural light. So for now, I'm just going to leave that TBD. Okay, these are my zones. Now let's get into more specific furniture arrangement. I'm going to set this version down over here just for easy reference. In our space, as I mentioned earlier, TV will go here. I really want the focus of the room still, though, to be pointing towards the mantle. So I'd like to put our sofa right here. And the sofa we already have, so I'd like to keep that. I will definitely have some sort of coffee table directly in front of the sofa. The one that we have is rectangular, but I think for this room, something round makes more sense. It'll make it easier to walk around. And since I know I have a lot of traffic moving in and around this room, I'm leaning towards a circular coffee table. So I'll just loosely draw that in. I think the storage piece under the TV should be low, of course, so the TV can hang above it. So I'll put that right here. Now, conversation areas. I talked about that being an important piece of creating a furniture arrangement. And the best way to do that is to position seating next to each other, something adjacent. So instead of putting my seating all the way across the room, where it would then be awkward to visit with someone, I want to situate it near the sofa. Right off the bat, I think this seating area makes sense. And I'd like the chair here to be one that is super cozy and comfy for whoever's watching the TV. Something more like an armchair makes sense to me. Wherever you have chairs, it's very helpful to think about a table next to it. Just practically, this is where you might set your drink or set your phone. So I will place a small little table right there. Along those same lines, I will probably put some side tables on either side of this sofa. This is kind of a dead zone, meaning no one's traveling over here to go to another space, but I have this wall and I think I should use it for something. A bookshelf makes a lot of sense right here because I can put a tall piece of furniture and it can be tucked out of the way. I don't have to worry about anyone walking around it. Let's see, I have seating right here. So for everyday living, I'd like to have a couple small chairs right here. And selecting two chairs, placing two chairs next to each other, means I get more seating. And if they're smaller, that's okay because there are two of them, and I think they can fill the space enough and kind of hold their own. They'll feel balanced against this larger armchair over here that sits on its own and the sofa right here. I can see when we have larger groups, these chairs kind of pulling to the side and people can watch from that view. This is why it's so important to determine what the function of the space is first, because it influences then where you put your furniture. And know that this is just a starting point. At least this gives us a plan for the next phase of things. Hopefully this takes the mystery out of creating a floor plan. It's really not that complicated. It doesn't have to be very technical. As long as you can put some pen to paper and roughly outline your space, this will get you started in the right direction.